Imagine the following. You're walking home late at night, the streets mostly empty except for the occasional passing car. The air is thick with the scent of rain that hasn't yet fallen, and the dim glow of the streetlights casts long, distorted shadows. You take the usual shortcut through the alley behind your apartment complex, your footsteps echoing against the damp pavement. And then you see him. At first, you think it's just another pedestrian, a stranger walking toward you from the opposite end of the alley. But as he steps into the glow of a flickering street lamp, your stomach drops. He looks exactly like you. Not just similar, identical. Same unkempt hair, same jacket, same hesitant gait, the same tired eyes. It's like looking into a mirror, but with the wrong backdrop. You stop walking. So does he. Your pulse quickens. You take a step forward. So does he. Hello? Your voice wavers slightly. He says nothing. He just smiles. And that's when you notice the difference. His smile is too wide. His teeth are too perfect, too white, like they don't belong in a human mouth. His eyes gleam, not with light, but with something else, something hungry. Your breath catches. You want to run, but your legs feel heavy. The man, your double, tilts his head slightly, still grinning. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, he lifts his hand and waves. Not at you, behind you. Every hair on your body stands on end. Your mind screams at you to turn around, to look, but something deep inside, some primal instinct, tells you that you must not. The double's grin widens even further, stretching beyond what should be possible. And then he whispers in your own voice, "You should have never come this way." The streetlight above flickers once, and then everything goes dark. What you were experiencing was an encounter with your doppelganger. A doppelganger is a mysterious or supernatural double of a living person, often considered an omen of misfortune or a harbinger of something ominous. The term comes from the German words doppel, double, and ganger, goer/walker, meaning double walker. A doppelganger looks exactly like the person it mirrors, down to their facial features, clothing, and even mannerisms. Unlike identical twins, a doppelganger is often seen as an unnatural or eerie copy, appearing suddenly or under strange circumstances. Many cultures believe seeing one's doppelganger is a sign of impending death or misfortune. In literature and psychology, doppelgangers often represent a person's dark side, hidden desires, or a fragmented identity. Some historical figures, like Abraham Lincoln, reportedly saw their doppelgangers before their deaths. Stories like Edgar Allan Poe's William Wilson and movies like Us, 2019, explore eerie encounters with doubles. Doppelgangers are fascinating because they blur the line between reality and the uncanny, making us question identity, fate, and the nature of existence. One of the most famous doppelganger stories involves Abraham Lincoln. According to his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, Lincoln saw his own doppelganger in a mirror shortly after he was first elected president in 1860. He was sitting in his home when he glanced at the mirror and saw two versions of himself. One was his normal reflection, while the other looked pale and ghostly. The second image faded away but reappeared again when he looked a second time. His wife took this as a bad omen, interpreting the pale version as a sign that Lincoln would not survive his second term. Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, shortly after beginning his second term. In the 18th century, the German writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe had a bizarre encounter with his own doppelganger while traveling along a road in Sessenheim, France. Goethe was riding on horseback when he suddenly saw a man approaching him wearing a gray suit trimmed with gold, a stranger who looked exactly like him. Years later, Goethe found himself riding along the same road but in the opposite direction, wearing the exact same gold-trimmed suit he had once seen on his mysterious double. This suggests the doppelganger was a vision of his future self rather than an omen of death. In the 19th century, Empress Elizabeth, also known as Sisi, reportedly saw her doppelganger in a mirror before the death of her son, Crown Prince Rudolph. She was looking at herself in a mirror when she suddenly saw a deathly pale version of herself. Not long after this sighting, her son died in the infamous Mayerling incident, 1889. Some interpreted this as a warning that tragedy would strike her family. She was later assassinated in 1898, adding to the eerie nature of the sighting. In the 18th century, the Russian Empress Catherine the Great reportedly had a terrifying encounter with her own spectral double inside her palace. One night, Catherine was lying in bed when her servants rushed in, looking pale and terrified. They claimed they had just seen her exact double sitting on the imperial throne in the throne room. Catherine, being skeptical, went to the throne room herself and saw the doppelganger sitting in her place. She immediately ordered her guards to shoot at it, but the figure vanished. Not long after this eerie event, Catherine died of a stroke. In the 19th century, the famous English poet Percy Shelley, husband of Frankenstein author Mary Shelley, claimed to have seen his doppelganger multiple times before his mysterious death by drowning in 1822. Shelley had repeated visions of his own ghostly twin who would silently stare at him or gesture ominously. A friend of his, Jane Williams, also claimed to have seen his double walking on the terrace, looking into their house, even though Shelley himself was nowhere near the area at the time. Just weeks later, Shelley drowned off the coast of Italy in a boating accident. In the 17th century, Queen Elizabeth I of England is said to have seen her own spectral double lying motionless on her bed shortly before she passed away in 1603. Elizabeth claimed to have seen a vision of herself, pale and ghostly, lying like a corpse on her own bed. She was disturbed by the sight, considering it a bad omen. These historical accounts suggest that doppelganger sightings have long been associated with omens of death, psychological distress, or glimpses into alternate realities. Some theories about doppelgangers include the paranormal. Ghostly doubles serve as a warning from beyond or a glimpse into another realm. Psychological. Stress, illness, or hallucinations may cause people to see themselves in an altered way. The time slip theory. Some suggest doppelgangers might be glimpses of one's past or future self, like in Goethe's case. Regardless of the explanation, the idea of meeting one's exact double remains an unsettling and fascinating mystery. So what would you do if you would come across your very own doppelganger? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and see you on the next episode.